Saluton from BA. This is a Rorschach Multilateral update from the 4th of February 2025, a summary of what's going down in the world's major multilateral institutions. On Monday the 3rd, Spain's economy minister stressed the importance of EU unity in responding to Donald Trump's threats of new tariffs. Speaking ahead of an EU finance ministers' meeting, he warned that protectionist policies could hurt European economies and called for a coordinated response. The EU is preparing strategies to defend its industries while keeping trade ties stable. Concerns are growing about potential economic fallout if Trump follows through on his tough trade stance against Europe. In response to Trump's trade wars, Canada is planning to take legal action against the US at the World Trade Organization. The new tariffs, which affect Canadian goods such as steel and aluminum, have been a source of tension between the two countries. Canada argues that these measures violate international trade rules and plans to push for the removal of the tariffs through the organization. While Canada made the announcement shortly after Trump announced the new sanctions, it is unclear whether Canada will continue its legal action, as the proposed tariffs were delayed by a month. Do you want to know more about this story? Check out the Rorschach Arctic update with the link in the show notes. In some alarming news, the International Organization for Migration announced on Friday, the 31st of January, that the massive displacement of people in the city of Goma, Democratic Republic of the Congo, has only worsened. Hundreds of thousands have been forced to flee due to ongoing violence. For context, the M23 rebel group is clashing with government forces. Thousands have been killed or displaced overall, with reports of human rights abuses worsening the humanitarian crisis. The situation is creating urgent needs with shortages of food, water, and shelter. The organization is calling for immediate action to support those affected, warning that the humanitarian crisis could escalate further if aid is not quickly provided. On Monday the 3rd, the joint United Nations Programme on HIV/AIDS, or UNAIDS, put out a statement urging that vital HIV services remain available as the United States changes its funding for foreign aid. The organization warns that any disruption could put millions at risk, especially in vulnerable communities relying on US support. Health experts stress that even short-term funding gaps can have long-term consequences, making it crucial to find ways to maintain these essential services. UNAIDS supports prevention programs, expands access to treatment, and advocates for policies that protect vulnerable populations. Funding is also used for research, data collection, and partnerships with governments and NGOs to strengthen healthcare systems. Additionally, UNAIDS works to reduce stigma and discrimination, making sure that those affected by HIV/AIDS receive proper care and support. More about the UN, it warned that extreme weather is increasing the risk of hunger across Latin America and the Caribbean on Monday, the 27th of January. Droughts, floods, and other climate-related disasters are damaging crops and disrupting food supplies, leaving millions vulnerable. The situation is especially severe in rural areas where people rely on agriculture for survival. Specifically, rising temperatures and shifting rainfall make farming less predictable. Many rural areas rely on agriculture for their livelihoods, so these changes threaten food security and income. Additionally, worsening droughts deplete water sources, forcing people to migrate or find alternative ways to survive. Experts say immediate action is needed to support affected communities and strengthen food systems against future climate shocks. Without intervention, food insecurity in the region is expected to worsen, putting more lives at risk. Onto the war in Ukraine, NATO warplanes are on high alert after Russia launched a major missile strike on Ukraine on Saturday the 1st. According to Ukrainian officials, the large-scale air attack on Ukraine killed at least 3 people and damaged energy infrastructure. The assault involved drones and missiles targeting multiple regions, including Kyiv and Kharkiv. Ukraine's air defenses intercepted many of the threats, but some still caused destruction. Authorities are working to restore power in affected areas, warning that continued strikes could further impact civilians. On Friday, the 31st, the UN Security Council extended the mandate of its peacekeeping force in Cyprus for another year. The decision came as tensions between the island's Greek and Turkish communities remain unresolved. The peacekeeping mission, in place since 1964, continues to monitor the buffer zone and support diplomatic efforts for a lasting solution. UN officials stressed the importance of maintaining stability while negotiations for reunification remain stalled. Greece welcomed the resolution. In legal news, Britain and the EU are battling over trade rules for Northern Ireland. Both parties began the dispute at the Permanent Court of Arbitration on Tuesday the 28th. The conflict centers on the implementation of the Northern Ireland Protocol, which aims to prevent a hard border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. The UK is challenging certain customs checks, arguing they disrupt trade between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK. Since the United Kingdom's departure from the European Union, trade relations between the two have faced significant challenges. The reintroduction of customs checks and regulatory divergences has led to increased trade barriers, resulting in higher costs and complexities for businesses. Barbados is set to improve its social policies with support from the Inter-American Development Bank. The bank announced a large initiative valued at $100 million to strengthen the island's social safety net, improving services like healthcare, education, and housing. The bank is also helping Barbados modernize its social systems, ensuring better access for vulnerable populations. The focus is on improving efficiency and targeting resources where they are most needed. A UN office in the Philippines has introduced a new collaborative program aimed at closing the digital gap and improving the competitiveness of businesses. The program will help 15,000 small businesses bridge the digital gap. The initiative aims to boost digital skills and online presence for small enterprises, particularly in developing countries. It focuses on providing resources and training to ensure these businesses can access e-commerce opportunities, digital marketing, and financial services. On another note, 3 West African countries that recently experienced coup, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea, have officially left the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS, on Wednesday the 29th. The decision comes after ECOWAS imposed sanctions and called for a return to democratic governance in these nations. The countries argue that their departure is necessary due to the bloc's interference in their internal affairs. Specifically, the military juntas in these nations accused ECOWAS of abandoning its foundational ideas and imposing sanctions aimed at undermining their regimes. In response, the 3 countries have established the Alliance of Sahel States to improve cooperation in security and economic matters. The Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe held a training course for Moldova Border Police and Ukraine's State Border Guard Service from Monday the 27th until Friday the 31st. The course focused on teaching officers how to train others in identifying fake documents and imposters at border points. Moldova and Ukraine have seen a significant rise in border crossings since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, leading to a heavier workload for officers. For our last story this week, the UN Development Programme and Nigeria's Rural Electrification Agency announced 23 new mini-grids to support clean energy and agriculture in the country on Saturday the 1st. These mini-grids aim to provide reliable electricity to off-grid rural areas, benefiting local communities by powering farms, businesses, and homes. This initiative is part of a broader effort to drive sustainable development, reduce carbon emissions, and improve livelihoods in Nigeria's undeserved regions. This initiative is part of a broader effort to drive sustainable development, reduce carbon emissions, and improve livelihoods in Nigeria's underserved regions. The project is expected to boost productivity, promote renewable energy use, and strengthen the agricultural sector. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. We hope you're enjoying the Rorschach Multilateral update as much as we enjoy making it. Got any thoughts, questions, or ideas? Send us an email at info@rorschach.com, and don't forget to subscribe on your go-to podcast platform. See you next week.